The scraper's blade bit into his palm, leaving angry red marks on calloused skin. Jaden wiped sweat from his brow with the back of his hand before crouching down again. The latte stain near elevator #3 had been resisting his efforts for 20 minutes. The sharp tang of bleach mixed with the expensive perfume lingering in the corporate hallway. His worn sneakers squeaked against wet linoleum. 6:47 p.m. 13 more minutes until I can clock out. He didn't hear her approach over the hum of the HVAC system, but suddenly, the hairs on his neck stood up. "Excuse me, I just need to." A female voice cut off mid-sentence. Jaden looked up. A ghost from his past stood before him. Emily Carter. That Emily. Only now, instead of school play costumes, she wore a stunning fitted blue dress that hugged every curve, the color matching her sapphire earrings. A leather portfolio embossed with EC Ventures dangled from her manicured fingers. "Oh my God, Jaden, right?" Her laugh was exactly as he remembered, warm and slightly breathless. "I don't believe this." Suddenly, his blue polyester janitor uniform felt 3 sizes too small. Longview High, October 2012. They sat on the gymnasium steps sharing M&Ms stolen from Jaden's little brother. Autumn sunlight caught the gold streaks in Emily's hair. "You still set on Harvard?" Jaden asked, catching the candy she tossed his way. "Obviously." She bumped his shoulder, making him miss the next throw. "Dad's already gotten Senator McKnight to write my recommendation. What about you? Still aiming for Juilliard?" He didn't tell her his father had been fired from the city orchestra for not fitting their image. Didn't describe how Dad cried in their garage for 3 nights straight, muffling his trumpet with a blanket. A month later, they moved to Louisville. "You're the owner?" Jaden nodded at her portfolio, avoiding looking directly at jewelry that cost more than his monthly rent. Emily flushed pink. EC Ventures, her neuron marketing startup, sold her first company at 23 for $12 million. And her gaze traveled over his mop bucket, the stained rag hanging from his belt. "And I'm right here," he said, dropping the scraper into the bucket with a clatter that made the security guard jump. Silence stretched between them like the elastic waistband of those ridiculous basketball shorts she used to wear. "Have dinner with me," Emily said suddenly, adjusting the diamond tennis bracelet on her wrist. "Tonight. I know this amazing place on 5th. I've got 3 more floors too. I'll pay your supervisor for the lost time." She was already pulling out her phone. "What's his name?" The maitre d' at Lucille gave Jaden the same look he gave the stray dog that sometimes wandered onto their patio, a mix of pity and barely concealed disgust. "Your coat, sir?" The Frenchman's eyebrow twitched at Jaden's windbreaker from Walmart. Emily stepped in smoothly. "We're fine, thank you." Her hand found Jaden's elbow, sending an electric current up his arm. "Table for 2 by the window, under Carter." The restaurant's crystal chandeliers reflected in Emily's blue dress like sunlight on ocean waves. Jaden counted 12 stairs as they crossed the dining room, wealthy patrons trying to solve the puzzle of why a woman wearing a Cartier necklace would be with a man in janitor's shoes. 8:47 p.m. Jaden gripped his steak knife like a lifeline. The menu had no prices, always a bad sign. "Relax," Emily laughed, swirling her Bordeaux. "This is just 2 old friends catching up." A waiter sniffed as he refilled Jaden's water glass for the 3rd time without being asked. "So," Emily leaned forward. "Why cleaning? I remember you nailing Chopin's etudes at the winter recital." The filet mignon turned to ash in his mouth. "Life happens. Mom got sick. Juilliard scholarships don't cover leukemia treatments." Emily's fork clattered against her plate. "Jaden, I didn't, Ms. Carter." A silver hair Ed man in a $5,000 suit materialized beside their table. Jaden recognized him from Forbes magazine. Richard Carter, Emily's father. Richard Carter's cologne, something woody and expensive, couldn't mask the scent of single malt whiskey on his breath as he leaned into Jaden's personal space. "Mr. Right, was it?" The older man's smile didn't reach his steel gray eyes. "I believe we met at Longview's charity auction. You were volunteering?" Jaden's fingers tightened around his napkin. "He'd been bussing tables that night, not volunteering." "Dad," Emily's voice carried warning notes, "we're in the middle of..." "Forgive the interruption." Richard's manicured hand landed on Jaden's shoulder like a lead weight. "Young man, might I borrow you for a moment?" Men's talk. The bathroom attendant scurried out when Richard entered, leaving them alone with the echo of gold-bladed faucets. Richard checked the stalls before speaking. "Let's be civilized." He withdrew a checkbook from his Name your price to walk away tonight and never contact my daughter again." Jaden stared at the pre-filled $100,000 amount, Richard's signature already slashed across the bottom. "Your daughter invited me," Jaden said quietly. Richard's laugh bounced off the marble tiles. "Emily has a bleeding heart. Last month it was saving stray dogs. Now it's rehabilitating." His eyes traveled down Jaden's thrift store dress shirt. "Underachievers." Back at the table, Emily's phone buzzed. Roman 6. "Olithale. That's odd." She frowned at the screen. "Security says someone took my Birkin from the cloakroom." 3 waiters materialized instantly. Madam, we'll review cameras at once. Perhaps check the gentleman's coat? Suggested the maitre d', eyeing Jaden's backpack. The blood drained from Emily's face as understanding dawned. You can't possibly think. Jaden stood abruptly, throwing his napkin onto his half-eaten steak. I think I know when I'm not wanted. The bus's flickering FL. Fluorescent lights gave everything a sickly yellow hue as Jaden rode home, his reflection warped in the grease-smeared window. The bartender's napkin burned a hole in his pocket, the hastily scribbled phone number and discrimination and wrongful termination imprint feeling like both a lifeline and a cruel joke. He'd seen enough courtroom dramas to know how these stories ended for guys like him, outgunned by expensive lawyers, outlasted by endless legal fees. His phone buzzed with the HR text at exactly 11:37 p.m. No phone call, no formal letter, just 37 characters that erased 6 years of perfect performance reviews. Your services no longer required. Final check mailed. The bus hit a pothole, jolting Jaden's teeth together. Across the aisle, a toddler in a stained onesie stared at him with unnerving focus before sticking a Cheerio to the window. Jaden counted the stops, 12 more until his neighborhood. 12 more chances to change his mind about tearing up that check. 7:32 a.m. Maple Grove Trailer Park. The eviction notice flapped against Jaden's front door like a dying moth. 3 days overdue. He peeled it off carefully, the paper unnaturally crisp between his fingers. Inside, the trailer smelled of pine sol and the metallic tang of his mother's medication. The kitchen table had become a shrine to medical debt. $8,214.03 last round of immunotherapy. $5,600.00 emergency room. March 12. $9,803.39 outstanding balance at oncology specialists. Jaden Poo led the two halves of Richard Carter's check from his wallet. The tear was jagged. He'd hesitated midway. $100,000, more than he'd make in 3 years scrubbing toilets, enough to keep a roof over his mother's head during treatment. The shredder in the corner whirred to life, spitting out confetti strips of what could have been salvation. EC Ventures headquarters, 8:15 a.m. Emily's penthouse office overlooked Lake Michigan, the morning sun turning the water to liquid gold. She stared at her stolen Birkin bag placed neatly on her closet shelf between the Crocodile Kelly and the limited edition Chanel. The security footage played on loop. 0:23:45 Richard Carter whispers to Mater D. 0:24:10 Manager discovers missing bag. 0:24:30 Waiters surround Jaden's table. Her assistant cleared his throat. Your 9 a.m. with the new janitorial vendor? Emily didn't turn from the screen. Pull all contracts with Willow Park Holdings and get me the personnel file for Jaden. Right. The assistant blinked. That's highly irregular. So is falsifying a police report. Emily's knuckles whitened around her coffee cup. While you're at it, I want every email between my father and Willow Park's management for the past 48 hours. The rain came down in sheets as Emily's Tesla navigated the pothole-riddled roads of Maple Grove. Her wipers struggled against the downpour, just like her mind struggled against her father's words. You'll understand when you're old. The GPS announced her arrival, but the cluster of dilapidated trailers told her she'd entered another world. Jaden's trailer was easy to spot, the only one with fresh flowers in window boxes. Pink geraniums, like the ones they planted for their high school ecology project. Her Laubautin sank into the mud as she approached. Jaden was elbow-deep in the sink when the knock came. 3 firm raps that made his shoulders tense. Through the water-stained curtain, he saw the outline of a womp, and holding an umbrella. Go away, reporters, he called. The local news had been sniffing around since his firing. It's me, that voice. Even after all these years, it sent electricity down his spine. He opened the door to find Emily drenched, her designer coat soaked through. You shouldn't be here, he said, blocking the doorway. She held up a manila folder. Willow Park's employment records. They fired 7 minority workers this year, all after interacting with tenants. Behind them, Jaden's mother coughed violently from the bedroom. Richard Carter's study, 9:15 p.m. The whiskey glass shattered against the fireplace. You did what? Richard roared at his security chief. I said monitor them, not torch the damn trailer. The ex-cop shifted uncomfortably. The boys got overzealous. On the desk, surveillance photos showed Emily and Jaden at a diner, heads bent over documents. The last one made Richard's blood freeze, his daughter handing an envelope to a woman labeled Mendes Civil Rights Division. The acrid smell of gasoline woke Jaden's mother first. James, her weak voice barely carried through the thin trailer walls. Then louder, James, someone's outside. Jaden bolted upright from the couch where he'd fallen asleep reviewing legal documents. Through the window, shadows moved in the rain, 2 men pouring liquid along the trailer's skirting. He grabbed his phone and baseball bat simultaneously. 911 first, then Emily's speed dial. It's 4 a.m. They're here, he hissed, watching the first match flare. Fire station #9423 AM. Emily paced the soot-stained waiting area, her silk pajamas drawing stares from firefighters. The call had come 18 minutes ago. Trailer park fire, possible arson. Paramedics wheeled in Jaden's mother on a gurney, oxygen mask fogging with each labored breath. Where is he? Emily demanded. The older firefighter removed his helmet. Still inside when the propane tank blew. We're searching. A commotion at the entrance cut him off. Jaden stumbled in, shirtless and bleeding, half dragging one of the attackers by the collar. Ask him, Jaden spat, throwing the man to the ground. Ask him who paid for this. The arsonist's tattoo peeked from under his sleeve, a cobra with Carter's security beneath. So, Mary's Hospital 10:15 AM. Jaden's mother gripped Emily's wrist with surprising strength. You're Dr. Carter's girl, she wheezed. The heart monitor beeped erratically. He was on my case at County General. Said treatment would be wasteful expenditure for someone with my prognosis. Emily's stomach dropped. She remembered that phrase, her father's favorite for unworthy patients. Across the room, Jaden stared at them, comprehension dawning. The torn check, the sudden job loss, the fire. It all traced back to one man. Carter residence 6:00 PM. Richard's butler intercepted Emily at the door. Your father is, where is he? The study doors flew open before she could storm in. Richard stood framed in the doorway, holding 2 tumblers of scotch. Saw the news, he said calmly. Shame about that trailer. Luckily our foundation can donate too. Emily threw the hospital discharge papers at his feet. Denise Wright, your patient, you're a victim. For the first time in her life, she saw genuine fear in her father's eyes. 6 months later, federal courthouse steps. The January wind cut through Richard Carter's tailored overcoat as he faced the bank of microphones. Cameras flashed, capturing every tremor in his hands, the same hands that had signed Denise Wright's death warrant disguised as a discharge form. I accept the medical board's decision to revoke my license, he recited from the statement his $1,200/hour lawyer had written. Behind him, the Carter Foundation's PR team distributed pamphlets about their new equity initiative. Jaden watched from the crowd, his mother's wheelchair anchored on the salted concrete. The set, limit money $2.3 million after attorney's fees couldn't regrow her hair or repair her lungs. But it bought something better, the sight of Richard Carter's empire crumbling. Lincoln Music Academy same afternoon. The scholarship letter trembled in Jaden's grip. Full tuition, room and board, all because some buzzboy had filmed him playing the abandoned piano in Willow Park's lobby the night before his firing. Chopin's Winter Wind Etude, said the dean, clapping his shoulder. Exactly wah. You played at your high school competition? No? Jaden's throat tightened. Emily must have told them. Across the practice room, a dark-skinned janitor buffed the floors with the same blue uniformed dedication Jaden once had. He made a mental note to learn the man's name. O'Hare International Airport 5:30 AM. Emily's boarding pass read first class New York. Her father's plea deal had specified she leave the state, though the federal prosecutor assured her this wasn't exile, just good optics. At security, a familiar figure leaned against the TSA pre-check sign. You could have told me you were leaving, Jaden said. Emily touched the silver key around her neck, the one to her now sold penthouse. Would it have changed anything? The truth hung between them, heavier than her Gucci carry-on. Some bridges couldn't be rebuilt, not even by 2 people who loved each other across chasms of privilege and pain. Jaden kissed her forehead, their first and last kiss. Play me some. When you're famous. 1 year later, YouTube trending homeless man plays Rachmaninoff like a pro. The video had 8 million views. In the comments, that's Jaden Wright. He got a full ride to Lincoln. Check out his EP on Spotify. Wait till you hear his original composition, Between Floors. Nobody mentioned the janitor's uniform he still kept in his closet, or the sapphire-eyed woman who sometimes liked his posts from an unverified account. But late at night, when his fingers head from practice, Jaden would open his bedside drawer. Inside lay 2 artifacts, a shredded check with Richard Carter's signature, and a single pink geranium petal pressed flat in a legal file, the relics of a war that had cost them everything, and given them just enough